Mic check. We're good. Good.
Mic
Yeah,
check.
cool.
Mic check. Mic check. Yeah, I'm in. Here we go.
I'm in.
And we are live. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we got a very, very special guest today. We'll be right back with you, Howlers. We'll be right back. Howls over Baaz. I'm Jacob Casas.
I'm Victor Casas.
And we have a very, very special guest. I'm so happy to have you in here today. One of the stars of The Chosen. I want to have you introduce yourself to our world over here.
Yo, what is up, Inland Empire? This is Abe Bueno-Jallad tuning in from, am I allowed to say our location?
Oh, yeah,
Should I
yeah.
keep it?
Fontana.
All the way from Fontana. It's good to be here with y'all tonight, and let's get it going. It's live. I love things that are live, man. It's just so, the energy is so different, you know? And when you told me it was live, I just get that. You know, I started in theater on the stage where as soon as it's lights up, like no more cuts, no edits. It's just so raw, and I'm just happy that we're here live with y'all. Where are you guys? Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Man, it is so awesome to have you on here. Like, it's really cool that not only are you, you're a star, you're doing your thing, but we're big fans of the show. So we've been watching the show. I know he watched it like from the very beginning.
Yeah, I watched it from the beginning.
So, but I started watching it like maybe like a year ago, but I
Yeah.
got like addicted to it right away. So, but I kind of wanted to kind of jump into, let's hear about your story, your start.
Okay.
So even before you got in the show, like what were you doing prior?
I mean, prior, so I'm from El Paso, Texas originally.
Okay.
So I mean, I gotta rep where I'm from because, it's so easy to say California, right? Like California, but even the idea of getting to California for me was like, well, how am I gonna get out there? Like what am I gonna do when I get out there? So I had to like slowly ease my way, and so I jumped over to New Mexico. And I'm giving the abridged version because also you guys got to stop me from talking because
go
I'm
do your
just like,
thing. We got all day with you, man.
Okay. So yeah, man. Before The Chosen, right before The Chosen, I had already worked a little bit. I had done, I think I did some NCIS LA. I did like a 2-episode arc on that. I did this show on Amazon called Good Girls Revolt. It was a 1950s 1-hour drama. I was really hopeful for that, but unfortunately it didn't get renewed after one season. And then the film, there was like a big film with Kate Mara. And then, yeah, before that, it was like my very first role, I guess, that you could see on my credits is this film with Ed Harris and Eva Longoria that we shot out in New Mexico called Frontera. And it was about kind of what's happening on the border, because not what's happening now on the border, but what's always been happening on the border, which is people are crossing and it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So stories close to home. But yeah, so I was kind of I already had some credits under my belt when I got The Chosen, and I felt like The Chosen presented a really, really beautiful opportunity, which is when I read that script, I was like, I'm pretty sure there's been nobody. It's going to be a good experience. As you can tell in the writing really quickly, whether I got to help this or the writing is going to take me for a ride.
Did somebody give you the script or like obviously like your manager or something like that?
Yeah.
And so he read it first and then he gave it to you and you just kind of were blown away then by it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works like a big fishing net, right? Like a casting director will send out a big call, and that's like the first fishing net. And that'll ping my manager and be like, oh, you have an actor on your roster who's suitable for this, and he's being called in pending their interests. Because at the time, the show was so small that the budget was like not there, so there wasn't any money. You were really, if you had to leave LA to go shoot in Dallas, Texas, you were going to lose money by taking this opportunity, right? because it might not really be covering that much. So, you know, but at that point in my career and in my life, I was taking everything under the sun, everything. Like, we take everything. We don't say no to anything. We just got to get our stuff out there, you know? And so that's what I did. But like I said, it was an actual standout. So my manager sent it. I was doing a play at that point, so I was on theater, and I remember being in the dressing room, and I was like, man, you know, I just got this audition for this show, and it sounds kind of cool. Like it's really good. And there was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like just actor talk every day. But then I sent off that tape, and I don't know, I can't remember the timeline, but a few weeks later, Dallas, the director of the show, contacted my manager and was like, I want to have a Skype with Abe. And I was like, now that's super common, right? Because of the pandemic and everything turned into Skype meetings or Zoom meetings. But at that time, Skype, I didn't know Skype is over. That Skype is gone. But at that time, Skype was still around. And so Dallas, I get on this meeting with Dallas, and I thought, honestly, he was going to be like, welcome to the show, like, you're in, you know, and I was like, oh, let's get it. But yeah, no, he told me something, which I think is just a character, testament to his character. He told me that I didn't get it, you know, but that I was still, like, that my work was still on his mind, and he was trying to find where I fit in this whole thing. You know, which was really cool, because I can't tell you how, I don't know, just it can get really rough sometimes on your own personal physical self when you don't hear back. 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 And so to hear back in my industry usually means they're interested or you got it.
Yeah. Right?
So you're not hearing back unless they're interested or you got the role. So I thought that I got it, you know, but, you know, so it was bittersweet, but honestly, it gave me that little boost that I needed to be like, you see, there's directors out there who care enough about the people on the other side to tell them, hey man, I didn't pick you, but good work.
Yeah.
That means so much.
So did you, because I know there was two other James. We were actually having an argument about that, actually, because I was like, no, there was only one other one, but it was another one. But when you came as Big James, like, you brought a lot of light to the character. Like, I noticed you were noticeable after that, especially the way you and the guy plays John. The way you guys like interact together is like goofy, funny. Like, you guys bring light to the characters. So I didn't notice that there was even two. Remember we were talking about that? I had to Google it. I was like, no, there's only one other one, you know?
Yeah, no.
But were you, so you auditioned prior, even when they all auditioned or before?
Yeah.
And then he got the role, and then you got it later then? Is that what how it worked?
It was like there was the first, forgive me if I don't know their names.
Your chat's going crazy.
What's going on, guys? Who's up? What's up? North Carolina, Brazil is in the house.
Yeah, dude,
I gotta just say, shout out to Brazil. You guys always show up for me. You guys are the best. But also, todos mis fans latinos en el chat, ya los veo hablando en español. Los quiero mucho. Filhos de Trovão from, wow, dude, we got, oh.
Give him the how. Give him the how, too, right here.
Anyway, we're getting excited here on this live chat. Oh. Whoa, man. That was bigger than me. Where was that going?
So no, yeah, I wanted to like kind of dive into that. So when you got that call and they gave you the role at that point, right?
Yeah.
So what was kind of going through your mind at that point? Like, did you know what you were in for? Like,
no, not at all. I started looking to see what the other actor, and then I found out there was two, what the other actors were doing with the character and the performance, and I kind of knew that I just was going to bring a different quality. I know what I am to the industry. I have like I can do light, but it's very grounded. Like I'm not gonna be like comedic hard, you know?
Yeah.
I'm most likely you're gonna use me for the heavy moments, and I'm gonna bring you the lighter colors in a more grounded way. Because that's just my personality, and I can ham it up. But if you really want the clown, go get the clown. He's gonna blow me out of the water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was worried initially. I was like, man, I feel
Because
like
there was two other ones, and so it kind of like brought some kind of worriness to him.
that I would have to bit of comedy going on. And so I was just like, okay, maybe there's like a comedic element to this. And so I'll have to work on that. And I think that I do try and bring some of that comedy to it, but it's definitely like my own way. Like I'm not gonna ham it up and wink at the camera, you know? So
I love it. I love the way you do that because I don't know, the disciples were real people. And even when you read the Bible, there was a lot of arguing going on about that they were doing. So it's kind of like the way he portrayed it. I feel like how he had you guys, the writer or director, how they portrayed you guys with that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really cool. Like it's dope because they're showing the realness of all the characters. I don't think we've ever seen the disciples this way.
No,
you know what I mean?
The perspective. After you, go ahead.
No, you never have. In fact, all the Jesus movies.
Yeah.
This is blows them all away. It's different.
100%.
So different. I mean, there's only little spots that you read about, and then all of a sudden you guys bring it to life, or what possibly could have happened.
Right.
I mean, you guys just that could have happened.
But it was also a little bit something that helped this, because if you think about it, it was the age of television. If television didn't have that big blow up, once we saw The Sopranos, and then you saw Game of Thrones, and then like all of a sudden you have Breaking Bad, all these TV shows now that are sort of becoming this kind of leading the wave to say, dude, you can do serious, good drama on television. And it's not no more just for the cinema and for the big screen. And so if we didn't have that beautiful golden age of television, I don't know if somebody would have thought, hey, we've never seen a TV show about Jesus, a multi-episode. Do you know how much more you can tell on a TV show? That's like making 8 movies, you know? So you can really, we have to thank that television started taking itself to a new place, and really we saw this golden age in television, and it was like, what if the Jesus story goes in that vessel as opposed to the 1 hour 30, 2 hour, no, 50 minutes, 8 episodes. How much can we cover? And we're finding out that it's still not enough, right? Yeah. There's so much. There's so much.
With a show like yours, we just want more, all the time. You just want to keep seeing. My kids are in love with the show.
That's
it's
awesome, man.
That's the whole thing. Is that you're even my daughter. She has Jesus merch. She calls it Jesus merch, right? Her friends at school and everything watch your show. All these little kids, man. And I'm just like, whoa! I'm blown away by that.
I just. Starting with this show in the pandemic, for me, it was shooting in the pandemic, and to think that there's like a generation that's younger than me, like that's in their teens, that are coming up and are taking in this content, and I just think it really is doing something else, where it's really opening up that book again and bringing a new life to the word. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's our fans will be the first to tell you that there's also positives and there's negatives to that. You know what I mean?
You'll see that. There's always going to be. Yeah.
Of course.
That's the biggest thing there in the world that is going to be positive and negative, because there's a battle going on.
Hey.
But what brought you to that? I mean, when you were in the word, when you came to that role, you obviously got into the word because you had to learn who this guy was.
Yes, right? Man,
you really had to get into the word.
But like deeper than I'd ever imagined.
I mean,
deeper.
Education, just to educate yourself, or did you do it to say, hey, does this guy exist? And then did you already believe, or did you say, hey, am I going to get into this? To say maybe I can draw closer to him at the same time and make it, and have the Lord just come into me.
Yeah.
And he moved me in the right direction. I mean, what is it that drew?
I knew. Go ahead.
There's so many questions I want to ask you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I mean, because I can't even. When you get into the word, I've been a Christian for 20-something years, but I wasn't always.
Yeah.
But when you get this into this relationship with him, you're asking him, because right now you have lights and cameras and everything around you, right?
Right.
You have all these cameras and everything. All of a sudden, you got to get into the moment.
Mm.
So when you get into that moment, and you're sitting there, and all of a sudden you have, Jesus, and you're in that moment, and he's actually, did anything really truly transpire from that? I mean, all of a sudden you said, you know what? You walked away and just say, you know what? That was a God moment.
Man, that's such a that to happen, but it really happens in the smallest moments. Like it's when I see the actress Vanessa that plays Mother Mary put her hand on his back. It's things like that that just it shocks me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he had a mother. I don't know why. Like it's those things, or like watching him do his sandals. You're just like, he had to tie his sandals too.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the big moments don't impact me, but in those moments I kind of have to look at behind the scenes a little bit. But it's in the daily,
Struggles.
in those daily struggles where Abe is, my guard is down and maybe the cameras aren't rolling, and I start preparing myself. And the first thing that I do is I always tell myself, this is happening. And so like if I was getting ready to do a scene here right now, I would start looking around the table. I'd be like, okay, I see people. I'd start naming colors. I see black, I see red. And it's just literally an exercise in taking in this whole room with the microphones, with the cameras, so that I know that I can let go. That I can just let go. It's all good. Everybody's here. We're all here for the same thing. All right, it's time to do this,
But that's really cool to hear that you're saying like that. Just kind of like made me think a lot. Like it's cool because you're explaining like all these huge things that happen in the show, but the small details behind the scenes, that's what really hits you.
That's what hits me, man. And I know but it's also I think it's really what's beautiful about this show is the way that we shoot it. It's always from a parallel view. You get to experience Jesus's character from here. And there are angles when he heals people from here. Sorry, I was off the mic. Like the camera looking down to up, and very few down. Up to down, right? So I'm speaking technically. I'm talking about the perspective of the camera, because that's a big thing. It's about how it makes you feel about him, right? And there's so many times where when we show Jesus from the bottom angle up, it's because he's coming down to be with somebody that he's healed, or to pick somebody up who didn't think they could walk, or you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And those moments just bring it closer. And so for me as the actor who's watching this on set, it's like, this is my reality. I really did just give up my life of fishing to follow Jesus. And so
Hold on. So you're saying your reality because you're doing the show. So you gave your life up. That's dope. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I don't have to work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because you have to say what about me that's actually happening right now don't I have to work for? It's like, well, I really did give up everything. I mean, I had to quit a job. I had to quit my day job. I let go of my apartment. Like I really just got in 4 suitcases, and like I told you earlier before we were starting, I just said I'm gonna hang on tight and see where this goes. And I'm still hanging on tight, man. I haven't set anything down. There's still boxes and crates, and I'm sure once this is all over, I'll have to figure it all out. But I'm just, and my character says it, I'm just following. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just following.
Where you going?
Yeah.
Or where you going?
Where you're going.
So how much has this impacted your daily life? I mean, spiritually.
Man, I have so much more reverence for the revelation of Jesus's covenant, because I can't know it. That's the thing that's difficult about playing. When I ask what doesn't help, the fact that Abe knows exactly where this is going. And Abe knows all of the things, like all of the words, like this is my body. I can't know that. I have to hear it for the first time.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I actually focused on the old covenant, because I had to say, you know what? My character didn't know the new covenant. The covenant's being revealed to him. So what's the only point of reference? And and this is the hardest part, because it's also the letting go of the old covenant, right? And so I have to be able to really take these lessons that when I read them and it's like, oh yeah, and you know, you got to love your neighbor and not hate the Samaritans. And I could play that scene like a duh, of course, right? But it's going to be way more impactful. It's like, what? The Messiah is telling me that I got to what? No, hold on. No, maybe I'm wrong. That's the growth of the human. That's the revelation of the covenant.
Well, even like how when you guys got your name Sons of Thunder in the show, you know, that was kind of cool because you're like, why aren't you not just shoot
Fires
lightning
from the
down,
heavens.
fires from the heavens? They're disrespecting you, and that's probably how every one of us would have acted,
Right?
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and we would have been like,
still
nah.
do.
Yeah, we still do.
We still do.
We still do.
We still do. That's such an important thing. It's like the presence of it can leave us so quickly. The presence of the word can leave us so quickly, and
That's why you always got to keep feeling yourself.
mm,
Always.
yeah, man. I think you even see it on the show. I mean, you see it when we get into it. You know, we forget so quickly everything that he says, and so yeah, man. To get back to your question, it has made me dive so deep, and I got to be honest. Like for me, I was always like I had faith, but the word itself wasn't something that I was digesting all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, the growth of my spirit, I think was about just communing with God on my own, you know? And I had a lot of solace because of that. I think it got me through so much of my hard moments, but there's a whole other layer when you start. And I still think that that's the best thing. It's like when I get to pray and commune to God, right? But when you read the word, there's like this immensity of wisdom that resonates back over and over and over. And I've even said it because like I think that a big part and an important part of this show will be that it reaches people who don't know the story.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the thing, because I feel like a lot of people didn't know all that was happening.
Yeah.
And so when they watch the show, then they start reading the word because of that. You know, I've been seeing that.
Yeah. So I think that that's also important. So I carry two batons, right? The way that it's affected my life spiritually, but also like the philosophical discussion of what it means that this happened, you know, so that everybody is included, because sometimes there's people who have bigger plates in terms of their spirit. They've fed themselves differently, bigger, and then there's other people who they wouldn't even know the difference between the grape and the cheeseburger on their spiritual plate, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so I'm always trying to find ways to talk about the show that will bring it back. Let's bring people here, because like this message that's coming out from it is still necessary today. It's still necessary. We're like you said, we forget it all the time.
And we do. We keep unloading. We got to refill ourselves. They say we leak.
Yeah.
You know, because the world just comes to us. I mean, you could study the word all morning. You go into the world. As soon as I leave my door, I feel like I'm going to war. And that's literally what I feel. I walk into this. I work for my son.
Yeah.
I work here, so I come in and I just start dealing with all the crap that goes through the day, and I'm just going, oh, okay. And then I get home and I feel good in the morning. Unload, recharge. That's what I feel like I'm doing, unloading and recharging. But I have to get into that word because it keeps. I mean, sometimes you just get so anxious, you still get depressed, you get angry.
Yeah.
But one thing I always have is the hope. My hope. And that always is there no matter what, when you're going through all these different feelings and everything. I know that one day I'll be standing and I'll be at the end. I have an end. And I'll be with the Lord. Yeah. And all this stuff will be gone, all my anxiety and everything. But I do get the peace. You know, when I'm in the Word, I get the peace. The Lord speaks to my heart, and I say, okay. As soon as I leave the house.
Dude, as soon as that first dude cuts you off on the as soon as the first traffic sign comes going.
But he keeps me going all day, though. I can still feel, it's not a feeling, it's just knowing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, but sometimes he does overwhelm me with his presence. Sometimes he overwhelms, but he's always speaking to me through the word.
Yeah.
always speaking through me. And that Chosen, man, there was nothing. I mean, Jesus of Nazareth was probably, I would say, not even close to it. But it was, I think it was like 4 hours or something.
Right.
And that was the closest that it could come to the Chosen.
Right.
And I remember when that show was on, I remember getting high, smoking, hitting a bong, watching Jesus of Nazareth. And I decided, you know what, I'm not going to do this no more. And that actually brought me to the Lord for like 5 years.
Wow.
But then all kinds of crap happened, and I left him for 20 years.
And we have that ebb and flow, right? And I mean, I think we're seeing it right now with the way the tone is shifting for season 5. It's like we're getting into that darkness that even Jesus had to endure, you know. And I mean, I've just seen. Oh man, am I? Yeah. No, dang, I can't talk about that. Sorry.
But they could go on.
Yeah.
They could even after the resurrection, you can have the Pentecost.
I know. We're hoping you guys just keep going, man.
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
There's a never ending. I mean,
Let's
Acts,
go.
Yeah, he keeps
Acts
coming.
doesn't end.
No.
And how all the
still here.
disciples, you know, how they die. I mean, like that'd be
Right,
crazy
right.
if they just kept going, you know.
We have there, and I'm not breaking news here, but like we have Acts is in the sight lines, but it's not 100% guaranteed, and it hasn't materialized. It's just a good idea right now.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
so
what I said.
so
Keep
I mean,
going.
I would love, because you know, for me it would be such a good period and like a finality to play this character until the end of his life.
Yes, I would love that.
And I just kind of want that honor and that privilege to transcend the way that James did. And also it would just be a good period. Like I said, for me, it would be, now I can hang it up. Like there will be nothing left. I didn't leave anything on the table. There it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I would love it. I really hope that we do Acts, and that it doesn't just stay like this hopeful rumor that it goes through. But right now we got to focus on the road ahead. And I can see, I'll tell you, man, this season. Sorry, so everybody's talking about 5, and when I'm talking about this season, I'm working on 6.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to do spoilers, but I'm definitely want to talk about what feels different.
Okay.
And I think that what everybody's gonna get with season 5 is such a tonal shift from everything that we've been building. From the first moment it takes off, like we're there, boom, you're gonna realize, oh, this might be a different show now.
Yeah.
And then to read the scripts for 6 and see what it was going to take. I mean, everybody was just coming in. You could see it. Everybody's focus is there. Everybody is like, all right. Like when we look at each other, you know, like when I'm looking at Jonathan and I'm like, this dude is in, man. He's so dialed in, and he always is. But I'm literally telling you that I'm seeing a different level right now.
Dang, with him.
That's
what I wanted to ask you too, though, with you. So like, do you feel more pressure because there's so many like people that look at these characters, these people that lived? Like, do you feel that's a lot of pressure on you? Do you feel that pressure? Do you feel like there's something that you have to kind of do, like make sure you do everything the best possible way? Because, you know, it just, you know how the pressure of what people like look at these characters as.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I think that the pressure would be a little harder if there was still like a relative that was alive, you know? So I kind of have the idea that this is a character that's relegated to history and spirituality. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel this responsibility, right? I mean, there's definitely things about the way that I handle myself in public that I'm just like, so for example, you're about to get some dude wanted to fight me on an airplane, like, and I was doing my best, but you know when somebody really wants it, and like, even if you're saying, dude, I got no business with you, you're like, damn right you got no business, you know, I'm like, oh my God, what is gonna happen, you know? Big James is gonna be on channel news, like, we just got into it at the airplane, and it was such,
because of your character.
well, it and so like you're asking how it affects, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, if I didn't play this role, I think me and that guy would have been in on it. We would have gone in. And because the way that he was approaching me, and I know how to like, hey man, I got no problems with you. It's all good, man. Like no biggie. But the way he kept coming at me, man, there was a moment where I was like, I'm gonna be quiet and I'm gonna turn my head to the side, and he's just gonna keep talking to me, and I'm gonna be silent because I'm already to a point where I cannot verbally de-escalate this. And if I keep talking, I'm already angry. And we're just gonna get into it.
The Son of Thunder was trying to come out, but you kept him in.
Man,
A little rough trying to love your enemy there, huh?
it was rough. This
know.
was a few months ago too, man. And I didn't know what I did to offend this guy other than get out of my seat before him, because I was trying to catch a flight for another press tour for The Chosen. So I'm on The Chosen's, like I'm in their care.
Yeah.
You know, so I beat him to the punch, and he was like, "You're in such a rush that you cut me off," and I was like, "No, man, I don't got any business with you." And he's like, "All right, well, why don't you go ahead and sit back down?" And he gets up off of his chair and he gets in my face and he's like, "Sit down, sit down."
Man.
And I was just like, "Oh my God, dude." Oh Lord, you know, God, because he wouldn't get away from it. You know, he wouldn't get away from it, and I just was like, man, I have to get where I'm going with. I don't have any business with you. And he's like, well, you're not going to get there before me.
Dang.
This
dude was just tripping.
Dude is going hard, man.
Yeah.
And so I had to let it go, man.
Yeah,
I let it
yeah.
go. I let it go. You know, so it's moments like that when you're, nobody knows that story, man. Look,
You
gentlemen,
heard it first here on Howls over Baaz.
if I just gotta say, it took it to this is directed to that guy. What's the camera? The camera?
Yeah.
Look, man, I don't know what you were going through or what that was about. I did nothing except get out of my seat. And I forgive you.
There.
Dang.
Yeah.
Give him the howl on that one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's just moments like that, right?
Yep.
Where
This was actually a moment.
Yeah. Because it would be so easy for me to just keep talking and be in my anger, but you know, I play a Son of Thunder, and one of them goes from the Son of Thunder to the Apostle of Love.
Mhm.
I think about what kind of journey and what kind of transformation that is, you know? And so I think that this show does affect me, man. I'm not always conscious of it, but like that was one great moment where somebody else took the wheel, you know? Yeah, someone else took the wheel, because I don't think I was going to get out of that situation without getting into a physical altercation with that person.
Yeah.
You know, and I know me, I know the way that I was. I'm real cool, but once you cross a threshold, like the Samaritans did, right, in the show.
Dang, that's crazy.
Once they crossed I was in Samaria. I was like, cool, all good. I'm in Samaria. We're doing this. Bing, bing. No, let's go get it. We got to set up this meal. And so you're working with that sort of pressure already. I'm in a place that I don't like, with people that don't like me and I don't like them. And then what happens is that, you know, we get spit on and then we get the rocks thrown at us. And Big James hit his threshold. And he was like, I'm done with this. You know, like, let's get it. And Jesus is the one that holds him back, you know? And he's like, why? Help me understand why. Because isn't that what we all want? Don't we all just want a leader that will make all of our problems disappear? But the specificity of what Jesus was trying to do with this covenant was not this way anymore. Not like this anymore. And it was such a big, powerful message, because I think the way I'm seeing it now is like, it's all starting to make sense now. What he was building up to, you know, because he has that divine vision where he can see he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You know, and so he was like, the only person that's going to endure any of that is me. And they will know why. And it's going to change everything. It's going to change the world. So no, imagine if there was Can you imagine if there was a chapter and it's like, and Big James and Jesus and everyone, and they just got into it and they started banging it out, you know, like
I know.
Could you imagine? And they're like, dang, bro, that was the covenant, right? But like, that's not what it is, man. It's a different. It had to be different this time around. So, woo, no fights on airplanes for this boy.
Still got a lot more flights still.
a lot more flights, man.
So I know you're acting, right? But I was always like, when I seen this part when Jesus washed your guys' feet in the show.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know what was going through your mind. Were you just acting on that point, or did you kind of like look down and be like, dang, Jesus did this?
I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that he was cleaning my feet. And I just, I mean, that even I've just put myself in that moment. It was such a big moment.
Oh, you did put yourself in.
You know, and I was like, he's washing my feet. Like, stop, not my feet, man. And it feels so vulnerable. It's so vulnerable to experience that. And I know that we're playing make believe on set, but then that line where, you know, that circle of Abe and the circle of Big James, they start to do this, and then you get the Venn diagram in the middle, and when that starts to happen, that's probably the coolest thing that I you know, I know you guys love watching the show, but I get to live it in these certain moments in this way that's just like, whoa, it's I didn't think that I would be embarrassed about him washing my feet.
Kind of jealous. I mean, think about it. I mean, even though it's not real, I mean, you know, he's not, but you can't get any closer. It's almost to that, because who doesn't wish to have a conversation with the Lord?
Right.
Who doesn't? I mean, I wish I could just have him sit on the couch and me ask him some questions.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening? You know, what can you do? Why do I think this way?
Right.
Why do I keep doing this over and over and over again?
You know, and there's those moments where I have to snap out and it's like, dude, it's just Jonathan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to hear.
You do have to. You have to have a responsibility as an actor where I can't make my castmate feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to make them feel like I'm Big James, right? And so we will have this play that maybe is recorded or maybe not, but like sometimes I'll talk to Jonathan in character, you know, and he'll be like, I have a lot on my mind, Big James, you know, and I'll be like, you know, you can tell me, and he's like, I'm not right now, you know, and it's just like that area is what I'd call, that's the gray area, that it's the safe zone where we can play. But if I ever come to Jonathan and we need to talk about something, you know, in our spiritual life, we probably won't do that in character. I don't think it's right. I think that separation, everybody kind of makes it on the show.
Yeah.
And I feel that's where a lot of the heat can come from. You know, I think that there's a lot of now some pretty big YouTubers who are talking about the pros and the cons of this show. And one of the cons that I heard was, I think it was that guy Wes Huff or something. He was talking about how the fact that when people now think about this show, they put us in their minds, and that's, I don't know if that's our thing, but that's like kind of the problem with iconicity in general.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with, technically it's the problem with the cross.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I see a cross, I think about the Bible too, right? I mean, you can't avoid the iconicity, because those who have eyes will see. Yeah. You know, and so I don't know, like it's always such an interesting problem, but I don't think you'll ever catch me like with my first century robe on out here in the streets, you know. Yeah. Like I think that would be too far, man. And so like we have to keep it contained to the vessel, which is the chosen, you know. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
Speaking of that, of the chosen, do you feel like, I truly believe this, like, do you feel like you were chosen for this role then by God? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be like legit. He wanted you to experience this.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this on now maybe one or two other podcasts, but like the whole lead up to that was pointing me in these sort of directions that I didn't want to really accept, because I was kind of going through my own sort of like worldly death of the pandemic, and the rent is due and the jobs are gone, and then all of a sudden I find myself, moving back to New Mexico. And for me, I was like, dude, I failed, because I said, if I know I'm done with this career when I have to go back home. And I was so ashamed to go back home with the tail between my legs that I went back to New Mexico first. And I was staying in a small farming town south of Albuquerque called Belen, which is Spanish for Bethlehem.
Wow.
That's true.
That is.
You want to hear the craziest, the even crazier, the gods, and I've said this is my mother-in-law says Godsidence. There's no coincidence. It's Godsidence,
I like that.
And she, so that year, and you can look this up. I'm pretty sure it was 2020, but that year there was a big, beautiful star out, and people were saying, some people were saying that's the Star of David, and other people were saying that's the Star of Bethlehem. And it's the star that they believe was
Over Bethlehem when Jesus was born.
correct. And so that's what that is actually two stars coming in front of each other, and the luminosity getting brighter because of the bending of the light, astronomy, right?
Yeah.
So like here it is, man. Like here's all of these things that I thought would not serve me or were far away. So it's like I took these years of astronomy, and all of a sudden, like there I am in Belen. I look in the sky, I see the star, and I'm like, that only happens every 700 or almost 800 years. And it's happening now, here, to me. I'm 33 years old, in Belen. There's the Star of Bethlehem. I'm about to get cast on this show and go.
Like
And it
everyone
was just
said.
like, oh, I know who's talking. I know who's speaking to me.
Did you know it was gonna? Well, has it been heavy for you? Like it's probably been fun, obviously,
Yeah.
But because there's a lot. You guys are like, there's a lot of crying on the show. Like me, you had my daughter crying.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm saying like, there's a lot of that. Like I'm watching it, and I'm not seeing. Me personally, I don't see like you guys. I see the characters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it, and I'm like, because movies just don't kind of hit me like that.
Yeah.
But that hits me when I'm watching it.
I was going to ask, man, I've been wanting to ask this for people on the other side, which is your guys' side. Why do you think you cry? I know it's a really hard one, and we don't have to have the answer now, but I know why I'm crying, because it's happening in front of me. And in that moment, like, so for example, I have this big moment in season 5 where I realize it. It all hits me all at once, and I say, oh, you chose us for this, and it's not going to be a party anymore. And it was like that realization that the darkness also comes, because like we have these healing, and Lazarus came from the dead, and the blind and the crippled were walking, and it's so easy to be like, oh my God, it's a party. He came here, the wine, let's get it, and then it's like the Last Supper, and then it was like, oh, okay.
How does that make you feel to know that, like, because I really believe that Jesus chose you to play that role and to experience all of this?
Yeah, man. I mean, the more that I look at my life, I'm telling you, everything was kind of building up to this moment. Even the fact that I was teaching Spanish in Albuquerque in Instituto Cervantes, which is this Spanish school from Spain. And I was teaching section 3, and section 3 is about cooking and the way of St. James, El Camino de Santiago.
That is a trip, dude. Like, this is getting weirder and weirder. Like, it's crazy.
So I can't fake the funk, right? And all of this happened before I got the role, but it just took me that moment when I was there in Belen, and it was like, tuk, 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 tuk. Oh, I've been set up. This is a setup.
Did you have any dark times in your life?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Absolutely. And how did they transition?
Through them. You go through them. I don't know if, and sometimes I mean, I had a really, I mean, I've had plenty of it, you know, and there's just even moments because I was working in mental health as a like collecting people's mental health prognoses over 2 years all over New Mexico, from the reservations to impoverished communities. And so like even with those constant reminders, you still have the dark times, you know? And, you know, I would say that my dark time was just my loss of belief in everything. Like that.
How old were you?
22, 23. And I think I just saw so much bad things going on. I mean, I saw like this, you know, 12-year-old girl break into her neighbor's house to feed her 7-year-old sister because her family was all cracked out and they hadn't eaten, and they were living in a roach-infested place with no lights. And it broke my heart, you know? And you're just like, man, there's some real evil out here. There's some real heavy stuff out here, you know? And drug use is a big one. It just, especially as a parent, it just makes you so not present. And, you know, I was talking to this because, you know, when at that point, when the file gets to your desk, it's like, oh, you know, breaking and entering, you got to go talk to this person and see if they want to, you know, join the evaluation and la-di-da-da. And so I'm like, and this person is talking to me like she doesn't think she committed a crime.
Yeah,
you
she
know,
just wanted to eat.
And
so you were 23 years old, and you were. How did that? I don't.
Yeah,
understand.
it just was like
What was this? Was your job?
Yeah, this was my job.
And what was the name? What were you?
I was basically I was it was psychiatric evaluations, and I was a data collector. So I would collect the data for so let me break it down. Systems of Care gets federal dollars. Those federal dollars go to fund services for people that are on the edge of their mental or behavioral health. And it's usually families, and it's like 14 to 18 plus their parents, right? And then once the kid ages out, that's it. Hopefully you got them the help that they needed. But the systems of care are considered everything from the police that arrested you to the shelters to the psych ward. Everything is considered a system of care because everything is getting those dollars. And so when you talk to somebody and you say, have you been in touch with your community system of care? They don't feel it that way. Like, yeah, I was in touch with the cops who arrested me for breaking in, getting like food from feeding my little sister. She doesn't see that as help, right? And then kind of what broke me was that at that point we had a new governor that came in, and just because I don't want to talk too much about like politics and stuff, but like politicians need to get paid. And so overnight, I watched how all of these New Mexico agencies had to just stop providing service to these people and wait for these new companies from out of state to come in and basically take over their money, you know? And you know, when I went back to my supervisor, I was like, yo, we're going to see like some pretty devastating effects from, you know, all of a sudden you're having an emergency, and the person that you called for that was your lifeline they're not going to be there. And how are you guys going to pick these people up? How are you going to convince them to create that same rapport with this new agency that's coming in from Arizona? And I was like, man, I thought I was making a difference. I thought I was here helping people. And this is how we do it. One person can change all of that.
Yeah.
Man, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm going to go do me. And I was like, oh, might as well be an actor. You know, I was worried that this career was too selfish and too self-centered. So I dedicated my life to others, to helping others. And then when I saw the reality of it, it broke my heart. And I was like, I'm done. Forget it. Let somebody else, because it's a joke. It's a joke for people. For some people, it's just like, yeah, I'll say anything to get the votes. And then when the money comes, you know, sign off 360 people to nobody.
But it almost seems like God was preparing you. He's already saying like you're already saying I was dedicating my life to helping others.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
You know, that's what he was doing before The Chosen.
He just showed him a different way that some people do it. And But you're 23 years old.
Yeah,
I mean, that is young. How old are you now?
over 23. No, man, I'm 37. I'm not one of those actors. I don't shy away from it.
Yeah, but that's just like that kind of just a 23-year-old doesn't do that kind of stuff. They don't get
No.
to see that.
No.
And the biggest thing, a 23-year-old would not even understand it, what's going on. They can't put one and one together. They wouldn't
Yeah.
see that where the money is going to. They wouldn't try to look forward. Okay, wait. I get what's happening.
Yeah,
They would only be in their moment in their job. That was
Right.
it. They wouldn't even see that. But your eyes were open, and
'Cause
you looked at what every person was doing and where everything was coming.
and to your point, if there's something about me that I think maybe happened earlier in my life, and I have to thank my parents, because my parents came from a split home, but they also came from a home that had two religions, so I constantly had to see the tension between somebody who was Muslim and someone who was Christian, and
Yeah, I read that.
and so like there's this thing where they dared me to seek the truth for myself, not to involve myself in the arguments, just seek the truth for yourself. And so that happened like when I was like 11 to like 14 years old. And I just kind of was, I don't know how to explain it, but it also put something in my personality that other people have called out, which is I don't like authority that much. I'm pretty contrarian. Like if somebody's telling me that this is the truth right here, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna look for it myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so that attitude also can tick people off, and if they're in a position of power or if they're shepherding, but it just lets you know that maybe that's not where you'll find that vital life that you're looking for. So I did a lot of, even my own searching. And and like I'd say that path was true and honest all the way from, like leaving kind of more of a non-denominational, going to Methodist, going like maybe even questioning like, am I atheist? Do I really believe in this? And then like all the way full circle back to the thing that I know is true, which is like, I don't believe that when this is over, or that the creation of the world was a mere physical coincidence. I think it was a spiritual component that created physical coincidences.
So when was that moment that you knew that Jesus was it?
Oh man,
What was that moment?
I think much later in my life, like 30, 34, 35. I was definitely already on the show. So like, but it wasn't directly like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm on the show, I'm holy now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, all right, let's read these. Let's read it. Let's get into it. Let's read it. For everything that's bad, let's look at all the passages that get the bad rap. What's actually happening here? What's the context? Okay. All right. I'm seeing some things here. And then, but also it was like, what do I want to grow or change about myself truly today? And it's not even for that, so that I could be a better person, right? Like it's so that I can have life, so that I could wake up every morning without the weight, because there was times in my life where I promise you, there was probably a year or two there during the pandemic and subsequently after, where we didn't even know if 3 was going to happen. Like it was just this ride, and 3 got pushed, and you're just like, all right, I mean, that was cool, but yeah, man, I gave up my job, so I was there in my bed, and like I just felt like the force of life was not letting me get out of bed. And at that moment, it was like literally my dog was the only thing that getting me out of my bed. And I can't tell you to this day why I wasn't able to get out of bed. It's not anything that I can logically explain to you. I just didn't feel. I felt like, what for? What for? Why am I going to get out of bed? And it just felt so much more peaceful to sleep than to be awake. And I knew that I wanted to change that. I didn't know how. And so I sought help in all the ways that I knew. And this is where the mental health thing comes into play, because you also have to seek out services that are aligned with you. And so then you have to ask yourself, well, what do I want out of the help that I'm going to ask for? What's the kind of person that I'm going to ask for that help? And I think that there's different modalities. You definitely go speak to, for me, it had to be a spiritual component now, because I was gearing up, or I was like regaining my faith. And I wanted to be tender to that too, because there was so many questions and doubts that I had to erase, and there was so much trauma and fear that I had to let go of, and I didn't want to be afraid of that stuff anymore. I didn't want to be afraid of like the darkness, because like it's the truth of it. It's gonna be around. So yeah, man. Like, not just, like I said, seeking out that emotional help, therapy, and then turning down the therapies that weren't for me. Like this is maybe like the main message that I have. It's like, you have to seek therapies that are culturally, linguistically, spiritually, all the way aligned with you. And just because you knocked on somebody's door for help and they want to hand you something, and I needed it because I wasn't getting out of bed anymore. It was, and so when I talked to the professional, it was like, hey, yeah, that's, how long has it been? I was like, I've been like this for like a month, maybe more. And they're like, you're like, if there's a rock bottom, you're there, and I knew it. I know the sort of thoughts that start going in your mind when you're in those positions. It's more peaceful to sleep can lead to another slippery slope. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, I just, she was like, I have something, I have medication that will help you. And I just said, is it going to get in the way of my acting? And she was like, most likely. I was like, I don't want it. She's like, it's going to be difficult then. And I was like, well, then that's what I'll have to do. The difficult route, So that's what we did. We did the difficult route. And I always remember that like it was yesterday. It's this feeling that I won't forget. And I don't know why it happened. I don't have an explanation. It just happened to me,
I call it coming to the end of yourself, coming to the end of myself. I think we all have that. Every believer has that. They come to the end of themselves.
Hey, that's coming to the end. I felt, it was an end of myself in many ways.
The end of yourself.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people in the chat though right now.
What do we got?
Like,
what do we got?
They're asking questions and everything. So I want to let me go through real quick. Let's see. We got Patricia's been asking a lot of questions. I gotta zoom
Why
in on
cry?
this.
Because it's a real situation that real people relate still. We cry because it's a real situation that real people relate still. Yeah. And so there's that resonance, right? As I was asking you guys, like, why do you cry? And I know it wasn't an easy question, right? But like, you're sitting there, we're all watching the show and we cry, and it resonates, but it's a different sort of cry. All right. Like Old Yeller, there's a cry, right? When he kills his dog, but we're crying there because we've all had to, in some way, put down our dog, right? So we relate, and that's the first level. But there's something about this show that when I've watched it or when I've had other people cry, there's a jubilation. There's a hope to it. Mm-hmm. And I believe that all drama has hope, because it either ends on a good note or we just hope that that'll never happen again and we're smart enough not to relive it, Yeah. So, the reason I was asking that question is because I feel that there's something that we're doing that is like not really explicable. Like some people in my profession call it catharsis. It's that full transportation to the story. And you're there and all of a sudden you relate, as Patricia says. But it's more than relate. I think what happens with the show is it opens up. Because I feel that there are people who don't know the word, and then there's people who know the word, and then there's people who got away from it, or there's people that, they just have their own relationship to whatever it is that spirituality meant in their life. And sometimes those things are good and sometimes those are bad. but the pureness of the word has such goodness in it. And I feel like that's what we're crying for. For me, it's like, it's not as bad as what may or may not have happened to me, because it's here in the word. You know, it's not whatever abusive thing happened or whatever, didn't accept me, because it's not, this journey was not guaranteed. The idea that just because your parents grew up giving you the Bible to read the word, did that mean that you were gonna grow up without challenges, not have your own moment of darkness, maybe not leave it? I've had people come to me about the way of St. James, and you talk about the reverse. Somebody told me, he's like, dude, I lost my faith on the way of St. James. And I was like, dang, that's rough. And he's like, no, because that's what it was about for me. He was like, I needed to go to decide to either be here or never here again. And for him, the way was the way out. And I was like, man, to each their own, to you your ways and to me mine. So yeah, I feel like there's a hope there, that it brings us back to like, oh yeah, it's not just about him dying on the cross. Oh yeah, it's not just about him walking on water. And he said, like, it's written in our show, Jesus is much more like a bigger fan of people following him because of the word than the miracles,
Yeah.
And it's like,
He says that in the show a lot.
yeah, like they're following me without even miracles.
Yeah.
Because he knows that the miracle is like the big, it's the big closing number for the show. But the word, I felt like he was like, this is what's gonna last for generations. The miracles are if you saw them and you were there and you believe in them. Yeah, you have to believe in them. But the word, there, it's kind of immovable.
That's great, man.
So,
Let me get a couple of these real quick.
Yeah.
Because Patricia says to Abe, how does it feel knowing people worldwide have a deep connection with you through your performance as Big James? Shout out to Patricia.
Hey, what's up, Patricia? Hey, I was waiting. I was like, let's go. Patricia, I mean, it feels great. It's such an honor, and I'm so humbled by the amount of love that I receive from people that just identify this as part of their lives, and so they see it. They're like, oh my God, this resonates with me, right? And it's something that I have never, like, it's a TV show that does something that I've never seen any other TV show do. And to be something that's part of groundbreaking like that, and that also started from the ground up to now being like in Times Square, it was like that was the right way to break in. That was the right way to arrive in this moment. So it's a blessing for me, and it's an honor. I feel humbled, man. This thing hasn't gone to my head. I just feel like, even when people are excited to meet me, I'm like, tell me about yourself. Like, who are you? Like, what?
You're very humble, and even when you came in like, right away, you're just a super humble person.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, it's so dope meeting you, man. Like, really.
Oh, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I know. And then, you know what, Aubrey, do you have a question for James over here? Come over here.
Oh, we got a special guest.
Come here, Aubrey. This is you have to talk on the mic right here. So you had a question for him. What's your question?
Tell me. Stay close on the mic. Come on, we'll do this.
I'm scared.
This is the time to beat you.
Come on, just go ahead.
Just go ahead.
Give me a question.
What's your favorite scene that you did in The Chosen?
Oh man, right now that's a great question. I think it's a toss-up between. I loved the battle of shooting the walking on water scene. It was like 3 nights of battling in that pool. It was like, it felt like, whoa, this is like if you ever wanted to be in an action film, this is it. And then I think the next impactful thing for me was in season. Is it 2.3 or 3.3? It's this big wonder where Jesus is healing a bunch of people, and then it's 3, and then he he walks over to the tent. He's so tired, and Mother Mary walks him over and takes off his sandals. That's like one of the moments where like maybe you're like, oh my God, that was one of the moments where I just had this big realization, like, yeah, he's healing people day in and day out. Like, this is, I don't think any other show has shown that the disciples had to set up a whole, like a hospital essentially for him, and that he was the only doctor, and that at the end of the day he would go and he would be tired. And I don't know why, but it almost made me cry. And my character was not supposed to cry, but it was just so like touching that mom still got you. I don't know. There's just something about mom's love that just it never realized, and I say it. It's like this human component that he endured this human life, and yes, the crucifixion is the best example of it, but also the fact that he was so tired that his mom had to take off his sandals. So those are my two favorite.
Man, I know we went over them. I'm sorry about that, but it was
No,
going
it's
so
all
good,
good.
and I
Yeah,
loved
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And I was like, hey, we had to keep rolling. But
No.
we appreciate you coming on, man. We
Nah,
really
my
do,
pleasure, my
and I would
pleasure.
love to have you on again sometime.
Absolutely, man.
I would love it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our slogan is "Shed the Sheep." So if we can, on 3, we'll look at the camera. We're gonna say "Shed the Sheep" at the same time. You do it too, Aubrey. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Shed the sheep. Howls over Baaz. I'm Jacob Casas, and I thank you for coming on. You got a little shout out to the people right here. You got a lot of fans watching. Anything you want to say to them?
Guys, I love all of you. Oh, here we are. Here. Guys, I love all of you. This journey would not be the same without you. I couldn't do it without the best dance partner, which is the fans that have shown up for me. The people who still send me like that they're praying. Is there anything I can pray for? Like the sweetness and the love matched with the spirituality that I've received from the fans has been unmatched. I appreciate you all so much from my heart. Much love.
Give him a buzz on that one. I appreciate you. Such a great show. So Howls over Baaz. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And peace. We are out. Peace.
Out.